your table, please?
Hey, why?
Here's till God knows what time.
Yeah, no, you ain't.
Nearly 2 miles, and you go cold on me.
I'm pregnant.
Bollocks.
Tell me some lies. Tell me.
I bet you stopped taking the pill on purpose, didn't you?
Of course I never.
Swear on your mum's grave.
She ain't dead yet.
The movie tells the story of a family going through a very difficult period. Rachel cleans floors at a nursing home while her father works as a taxi driver. Phil transports all kinds of clients throughout the day, and his wife Penny works as a cashier at a supermarket, looking very tired. Phil drove an elderly man to a cemetery and watched him for a long time. Later, Phil offered to give a ride to his colleague whose car had broken down. Penny's shift ended, and as she was heading home, she saw her son Rory fighting with a weaker boy. The mother scolded Rory for his behavior and for constantly skipping school. Rory behaved very nervously. At home, Rachel was waiting for them, looking just as unhappy. The mother tried to ask the daughter how her day went, but she answered all questions briefly and reluctantly. Meanwhile, Phil was drinking with his colleague at a bar. Ron complained about a woman who crashed into his car. In Ron's opinion, all the problems in their lives are because of women. As they men were walking home from work, Ron's beautiful daughter Samantha said hello to Phil. When Phil came home, he brought a huge amount of calorie-packed buns. He tried to talk to his daughter and wife, but the conversation didn't stick. Learning that the son got into a fight today, Phil tried to talk some sense into him, but Rory answered his parents very rudely. The boy did not want to study or work, spending whole days lying on the couch watching TV. The family had dinner in a tense atmosphere as usual. Phil tried to tell how his day went, but no one was interested. Rory was the first to leave the table and was rude to his mother's request to keep them company. Meanwhile, Ron's wife Carol as usual got drunk and didn't prepare anything. There was disorder in the apartment. Their daughter Samantha came, unhappy that there was nothing to eat at home again. They have no money for groceries. Ron tells Samantha that she should go to work, but the girl doesn't want. Meanwhile, their neighbor Maureen is trying to talk to her daughter Donna, who answers any question rudely. Their relationship has never been good. Samantha notices Donna's boyfriend coming over, and she starts flirting with him, which Donna didn't like. Later, Craig noticed a local ragamuffin staring at him. The guy threatened him and insulted jealous Donna. Phil searched for money all around the house, but it wasn't enough. He knocked on his daughter's door, asking for a loan. Rachel told the father that her wallet was in the coat.
I'll give it back to you.
Okay.
He was very ashamed, but he had no choice. Phil came into his room, telling the wife, who was solving a crossword, that he had a tough week. The man asked his wife to lend him some money. Penny told that he could get up earlier and work more. Despite her dissatisfaction, she agreed to give him some money. Phil suggested that they solve the crossword together. She didn't like the idea. Penny said she wanted to sleep. At night, the woman removed her husband's hand from herself and got out of bed. Sitting alone, she barely held back tears. Life seemed bleak and hopeless. The next day, Rachel worked at the nursing home. An elderly man named Sid began to flirt with her. The girl tried to ignore him. Phil overslept today, and Ron spent the last of his money on car repairs. When Phil came to work, his boss, Neville, expressed dissatisfaction with his productivity. Donna works as a waitress. Samantha came to the same cafe and openly mocked her. Soon Rachel came in and ordered a Coca-Cola. Samantha is the only one of the girls who doesn't work. At some point, she noticed the ragamuffin watching her through the glass door. Phil drove a provocatively dressed girl and then a drunk man. It was already late, and he still hadn't come home. Sid continues to court Rachel. He was surprised that the girl usually goes to bed at 10 o'clock, as young people usually do something else at night. Sid treated Rachel to candy and asked if she had a boyfriend.
I ain't got a boyfriend, you know that.
On Saturday night, Rachel was reading a book alone while Craig told Donna not to call him again when he was out with friends. Donna is unhappy with her boyfriend's rude behavior, but she still asks him to stay. But at some point the girl became anxious, telling him to keep his hands off her. Angry Craig was just going to leave. Suddenly, in a fit of emotions, Donna confessed that she was pregnant. Of course, Craig was not happy with this news and started yelling at the girl. Penny was spending time with her friends at a bar. Carol got drunk again and began to behave inadequately. At this time, Craig accused Donna of deliberately getting pregnant. He said he didn't want to become a father, as they didn't even have the money to support the child. Donna couldn't hold back her tears. Offending her, Craig left. Penny confessed to the friends that she was not actually married to Phil officially. He had never proposed to her, and eventually she had come to terms with it. Maureen took the stage to sing. Listening to the song, Penny felt sad, and a drunken Carol showed interest in various men. Seeing the woman's condition, the friends decided to get her out of the bar. At night, Samantha met the ragamuffin and started talking to him. The guy was very embarrassed by her attention. The girl started flirting with him and kissed him out of pity. However, when he started behaving more insistently, Samantha pushed him away. A passenger told Phil he had no money. Phil didn't get into a conflict and told him to get lost. At night, the man woke up his wife, who had fallen asleep on the couch. The husband paid her back. During the day, Rachel was doing her routine work. Sid didn't leave her alone, trying to start a conversation. Rachel answered him politely but coldly. Maureen saw her daughter crying and tried to find out what had happened. Donna said it shouldn't concern her, but Maureen realized the daughter was hiding something from her. In the end, the woman guessed that Donna was pregnant. The girl did not try to hide it. She also admitted that Craig had left her. When the mother left to make tea, Donna took her phone out of the purse. At lunch, Rory was rude to his parents, saying he didn't like the food. Meanwhile, Craig visited Maureen's house. He came because Donna had sent him a message. However, the woman drove the aggressive guy away, telling her daughter never to meet him again. Seeing Craig leaving, Samantha followed him. Maureen asked her daughter what she was going to do. Donna didn't know what to do now. When the mother suggested going to the doctor together, she agreed. On the same evening, Sid told Rachel that he had been married, but his family had ended 4 months after the wedding. Sid suggested that Rachel go to his room and watch a video with him, but she declined, looking upset. During the day, drunken Carol saw Rory. She found it sad that the boy was here all alone. All the characters in this story continue to live their ordinary lives, each suffering from loneliness, but keeping it inside. One day Rory got into a fight with some boys who didn't want to play football with him. Suddenly Rory started to feel unwell. Maureen saw this and rushed to help the boy. Rory fell to the ground, clutching his chest. Carol and Maureen approached him. After she suspected that the boy was having a heart attack, Maureen told Carol to call an ambulance, but she was too drunk to do so. After taking the phone from her mother, Samantha called an ambulance herself. A lot of people gathered in the courtyard, and Rory's condition was getting worse. Meanwhile, Phil was talking to a strange passenger about what love is. He wants to believe that he is capable of taking care of his wife. Seeing the mother continue to drink, Samantha called her disgusting. The girl was going to call Penny and tell her what had happened to her son. After seeing the passenger off, Phil suddenly turned off the radio and phone. He didn't want anyone to call him. At that time, Penny's colleague told that her son was sick. She rushed to the hospital, her hands shaking with fear for the son. But Phil didn't answer the phone. Rachel was also far away, walking alone by the river. Rory was taken to the hospital. In a panic, Penny called Neville, saying that she couldn't reach Phil. Neville replied that Phil turned off the radio. He was probably tired of work. Neville promised Penny that he would send a taxi to her right away. While Phil was aimlessly driving on the road, Ron came for Penny. In the meantime, the doctors stabilized Rory's condition. Maureen was with him the whole time. Ron was in a hurry and crashed into another car. Not wanting to wait, Penny rushed to the hospital herself. She hugged her son in tears, not understanding how it could have happened. Penny was grateful to her friend for taking care of the son. Deciding not to disturb, Maureen left the ward. Penny continued to cry, hoping that Rory would recover soon. Phil drove far away from the city, wanting to be alone. His wife and Maureen never left Rory's bedside. Penny was worried that she couldn't reach her husband. Meanwhile, he was just aimlessly walking and standing by the river, thinking about his unhappy fate. Rachel came to the hospital immediately after she heard what had happened. The doctor said that Rory's heart condition was incurable, so he would have to take medication for the rest of his life. Upon hearing this, Penny burst into tears. The doctor also said that Rory now had to give up all harmful habits, especially smoking and high-calorie foods. When Phil turned on his phone, upset Penny called him and told that their son had had a heart attack. Phil wasn't able to comprehend it right away. The wife hung up, and Phil immediately headed to the hospital. Maureen and her daughter began to understand each other much better. Donna was grateful to the mother for her support. Maureen told her that everything would be all right. Together they would get through it. Carol and Ron were drunk. Samantha was disgusted to look at them, and she left the house, meeting that same ragamuffin again. He confessed his love to her, but she couldn't reciprocate his feelings. At night, Samantha couldn't sleep and cried. Phil was shocked to see his son in the hospital bed. Finally, he entered the ward. Penny and Rachel had been there all this time. Since only 2 visitors were allowed in the ward, Rachel left. The wife told Phil that Rory would have to take medication for the rest of his life. She also wondered where he had been all this time and why he had turned off his mobile phone. Phil realizes that he is to blame. Penny couldn't bear it and burst into tears. Rory weakly asked his father if he was okay. Phil suggested going on a family vacation together when Rory recovered. Since it was late, the nurse asked the couple to leave the ward, assuring them that they would take care of the boy. The family was returning home without Rory. The trip was silent. At home, Phil promised his wife that he would work hard from that day on. Penny said she didn't understand why he hadn't done this earlier. Instead of earning more money, Phil slept until noon, while his wife and daughter got up early in the morning. Penny also told her husband that she was sickened by him. She asked him again why he had turned off his mobile phone and what he had been doing all day. Phil responded that he was tired. Penny was outraged by this. Every day she wakes up early in the morning, cooks, and cleans. Over all these years, Penny never neglected her duties, unlike the husband. The woman was at a loss when Phil suddenly asked if she loved him. Penny didn't know what to say to that. But Phil already understood that the wife no longer loves him. She does not respect him. She feels disgusted to be alone with him. Phil confesses that it is unbearable. He has no motivation to do anything, knowing that the wife doesn't cherish him. He said he could leave right now if that's what she wanted. Phil realizes that the wife is unhappy with him. There has long been nothing but irritation and negativity between them. This is the reason of their marital problems. It used to be different. When Phil first met Penny, he could not believe that such a beauty was dating such a fat man like him. They had nothing, but they were happy. And now their family is falling apart. For the first time in a long time, the spouses had a heart-to-heart talk. Later, Penny saw that Rachel was also not sleeping. Penny followed her into the room and hugged the daughter. It was a very difficult time for all of them. Rachel, who overheard the parents' conversation, also believes that the mother does not love the father. And she is very sad about it. Realizing that the daughter is right, Penny went back to Phil and took his hand. If they had tried to listen to each other earlier, their lives might have turned out differently. Penny admitted that she constantly feels lonely. Phil said he feels the same way. He also told his wife that he loves her. They hugged and kissed, which they had not done in a very long time. Penny said she missed those days when Phil made her laugh. In the final scene, we see Penny, Phil, and Rachel coming to visit Rory.